So I'm sitting here with Larry Clarkberg, who runs Boxy Bikes in Ithaca, New York, and they recently had a Wizarding Weekend, which was themed towards a Harry Potter weekend on Halloween, where there was thousands of people showed up in Press Bay Alley and celebrated it. And Larry started a kind of a new sort of thing that he calls cargo bike games, and I'm going to let Larry talk about what cargo bike games actually are. So,
cargo bike games are games played with a cargo bike, and so they often involve the rider focusing on steering and not running into anything or hurting anybody, and then the main player is on the back of the bike. And what's cool is the player could be a kid, and the kid has just as valid a role in the game as the adult, and then the kid will be doing stuff like trying to shoot a rocket at an opponent, not a Nerf rocket,
right,
or throwing a ball into a goal.
And is the passenger on the rear? Are they sitting down, or are they trying to stand up on the cargo bike?
Ideally, they're sitting down, and ideally the cargo bike's equipped with handlebars for the back passenger. But I think a more advanced rider, teenagers love to stand on the back, and it looks pretty scary and dramatic, but it's actually not that hard. It's funny because, you know, like if you've ever ridden a tall bike, you know that height on a bike actually gives you more control.
Yeah.
Or like if you think about stilt walkers,
right?
You know, it's much easier on taller stilts. So, and the driver is doing the balancing, so the rider just has to focus on holding on.
Yeah, I rode a 15-foot high bike once at Burning Man, and it was pretty intense. I mean, it was pretty scary.
Getting on and off is scary, but once you're riding...
Well, it was a three-wheeler, but the rear wheels were pretty close together.
I see.
And just a little bit of wind. It was really fun. But yeah, so the cargo bike games, and you started a website to promote these cargo bike games.
Yeah, so I feel there's kind of an irony with this because I used to tell people, well, bikes are transportation, you know, they're not just for recreation. Bikes help you get where you want to go, and therefore, you know, a cargo bike is a valid kind of bike, and an electric motor is valid because it all helps with your goal of transporting yourself, you know. And recreation, you know, that's a whole different category and a whole different set of needs. I mean, it's clear you don't need an electric motor for a recreational bike because the goal is to get exercise.
Well, that can be one of the goals, but there's, you know, like, so electricfatbike.com, we actually promote recreational electric bikes, but a lot of the reason that we promote recreational electric bikes is because when you're riding through 6 inches of powder, there's just no way to physically generate enough power to get through the snow. And electric motors really help support that. And actually, when I ride in the woods, most of the times for recreational single-track riding, I'm actually on a bike without a motor because, yeah, like you said, you know, for me when I'm recreating, the goal is to get exercise. The goal is to feel good.
So the irony, though, to get to the irony, now I'm taking a transportation machine, a cargo bike, and using it for recreation.
Yep.
And I'm telling people, hey, this bike can be used for games.
Right.
You know, so for me, that's kind of funny. I guess probably no one else will get the irony. But I'd say too that for me, this is a way to put cargo bikes in front of people and say, hey, look, bikes can carry passengers. I think 90% of Americans don't know that.
Well, and that's another thing is that, yeah, when people think of bicycles, they think of just one person on a bike. And I know you've been riding a cargo bike you gave up your car several years ago, and you've been riding pretty much exclusive cargo bikes even year-round, which is quite unusual. But
I don't think it's less and less unusual.
Yeah.
It's going to be commonplace. And so people see that cargo bikes carry passengers, and they see, oh, bikes can have electric motors. So for me, that's the goal of the cargo bike games, is to put it out there.
So I just want to make a quick distinction too. There's actually kind of two different kinds of distinctly different cargo bikes. One is where the cargo is carried in front of the rider, and these are definitely not the cargo bikes that you're using for your games. The ones we're talking about are more similar to the extra cycle design, where you have an extended wheelbase and the bike is about maybe a foot or a foot and a half longer than a normal bike. And then the idea is that you can put all your weight behind the driver, and it's located over the rear wheel.
And yeah, and really the games so far have been played on longtails cargo bikes because that's what I have, and I feel like longtails are more appropriate for Ithaca, which is very hilly.
Right.
Because they're better for they handle most like a regular bike, and on the hills here it's hard not to go fast.
Right.
So but I do have at least one flatbed, long john style bike.
Right.
And it wouldn't be hard to use that for the cargo bike games either.
Cool.
So and then these games started actually last spring when we Ithaca has a Streets Alive festival when they block off the streets and do fun stuff in the streets. And so I came up with a game called Cargo Bike Rocket Jousting. And two cargo bikes come towards each other at high speed, and the passengers on the bikes shoot Nerf rockets at each other, and whoever hits their opponent scores points. And the way we make it safe is we draw a line, and the cargo bikes can't go over that line. Can't cross the line. And it was similar with the cargo bike Quidditch. We have an area where each cargo bike has to stay in that area. So
there's no chance of a bike-to-bike collision because each one has a separate area that they have to physically stay in.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. And tell me a little bit more about cargo bike Quidditch. So
I have the rules online, but we try to be somewhat accurate to the game as described by J.K. Rowling, in that you have two games going simultaneously, and one is quaffle play, which is a lot like soccer, and the other is snitch play, which the players, the seekers, such as Harry Potter was a seeker, try and catch this little gold ball that zips around. And so in quaffle play, you have like 3 defensive players and 3 offensive players at each goal, and you have the cargo bike driver, and then the chaser, which is similar to that chaser in the book, where the chaser is throwing the soccer ball into the goal.
Right.
And then the other offensive player is the driver, and then the third offensive player, which is necessary for cargo bikes, is the quaffle handler, because you need someone to pick up the soccer ball, and hand it to so that you don't have to get off the bike and grab it. So those are the 3 offensive players, and then the 3 defensive players is you have the keeper, which is like a goalie basically. He stands in front of the goal, and then you have 2 beaters, which this we took some liberty with the book, in that the beaters throw bludgers, which are in the original book, the bludgers just hit everybody. They're like wild little balls. In our rules, the beaters throw the bludgers at the cargo bike.
Right.
And it's a lot of fun. It's kind of like soccer, but with a pillow fight going on.
Cool.
So that's the 3 offensive players and the 3 defensive players. And then in snitch play, you have the 2 seekers, each trying to catch, from each team, trying to catch the snitch. And then the snitch is basically a little gold golf ball held on a fishing pole by a nonpartisan player, by the ref, say. And then the seekers are on the back of a cargo bike, so you need 2 drivers, and then we also let the bludgers on the field, the beaters. So it's more pillow fighting. So it's like, a cargo bike playing soccer with a pillow fight going on simultaneously, and it sounds like it's a lot of fun. So what was the age group of the players mostly? So what's cool is we have four high schools in Ithaca, but they never actually play each other at anything. So I recruited teams from each of the four high schools, meaning Ithaca High School, which was Slytherin, and we have New Roots, and they played Gryffindor, and then we had LACS played Hufflepuff, and then a group of homeschoolers sort of formed, as they do, sort of magically, and they played the Ravenclaw.
Cool.
Orion's, is he a homeschooler?
Orion is, well, he's
graduating.
Yeah, he's in his second year of college,
Cool.
but he'll get his GED this year, I think. So, but yeah, he's been homeschooled.
So he's an honorary Ravenclaw. Felix was a team captain.
Okay.
So it was kind of nerve-wracking, though, because I didn't know the IHS team had trouble coming together, because, like, I sent my daughter to recruit people, and she couldn't get anyone to join the team, and I'm like, don't you know there's 8,000 people that want to watch this game, and it'll be totally fun, and blah, blah, blah. And everyone's like, no, I don't want to. And then, and what's interesting, too, is you can see sort of the way unfettered organization, I'm calling it, can, like, respond quickly to a command like this, whereas a hierarchical fettered organization is really slow to uptake. So at Ithaca High School, Thea wrote out an announcement to be read over the loudspeaker, and they were about to read it the Friday before the game.
Right.
And then they saw that it didn't have a teacher's signature, and they didn't read it.
Oh.
And then finally, 15 minutes before the game, 3 of my sister's friends showed up because they had seen her crying at the lunch table. So they got bad for her, and so they came. Whereas, like, New Route, they formed a team the first day. In fact, Mark said they formed 2 teams.
Wow.
And then LACS was sort of in between in freedom, and LACS has morning meeting. So the students are allowed to speak and say whatever they like.
Right.
So the Cleo, who is a daughter of my friend, she spoke at morning meeting and formed a very, very psyched team of all-girl team. It
Cool.
was a pleasure to see.
Cool.
The homeschoolers, I never really knew what was going to happen, but they kind of pulled us together.
At the last minute. Yeah. So it's something that you plan on doing every year now, it sounds like. Yeah,
it was a success. I mean, I estimate, we're not really sure how many people showed up, anywhere between 8,000 and 15,000.
8,000 and 15,000. That's pretty amazing.
There were 8,000 people, 8,400 people who said they had come on Facebook.
Right.
So if it was, say, it was 10,000 and they each paid $25, that's $250,000 that we brought in. And this is among the largest festivals ever in Ithaca. Like the Apple Festival is around 10,000.
Right. So just to be clear, Ithaca, the town we live in, is about 30,000 people if you don't count the students. And so to have an event this size that was literally thrown together in about a week and a half with very little planning, and to have that level of success is kind of a testament both to John's Press Bay Alley and just kind of the way people come together in a creative fashion in Ithaca. It's one of the reasons I love being part of this town. I mean, it's an amazing place to live. So is there anything else you want to say to the listeners before we wrap up?
I think, we're definitely going to do it again. And I think it's really important that we continue playing cargo bike games, because I think it really struck a chord in a way that just being all like, you have to ride a cargo bike because we don't pollute, or we're more politically correct.
Right.
This is like, ride a cargo bike because it's fun.
Because it's fun. And that's the thing with electric bikes. And that's the thing that got me hooked. Larry's actually the person that got me into cargo bikes, and I frequently joke with him and tell him thank you for completely destroying my life, because it's just, e-bikes have really taken over and become a huge passion of mine. And thank you very much for your time. And the cargo bike Quidditch games in Ithaca, New York, going to start happening every Halloween, so stop by and check it out.